right, friends, now let's talk about the problem of the day. So this problem asks us to draw a rectangular array with 12 total squares and 4 columns, and to write a repeated addition sentence. So again, we know that rows are horizontal. They are. Yes, that means they go side to side. Do that with me. They go. Awesome. We also know that columns are vertical. They are. Yes, that means they go up and down. They go. Exactly. And we know that when we make a rectangular array, it is shaped like a rectangle, and it is made up of smaller rectangles. It has equal rows and equal columns, and there are no gaps between the squares. So, because I know that, the problem has asked me to make 4 columns in my array with 12 total squares. So I made a rectangular array with 4 columns, and I'm going to try first to have 2 rectangles in each column to see if that gives me 12 total squares. So here I just numbered all of my columns, because remember, columns go up and down. So I have 4, like the problem asked. Now let's see if it gets us to 12 total squares. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Show me, does that work? No, I don't have 12 total squares. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to add 1 more square to every column. And so I still have my 4 columns, but now I have 3 squares in each column. So let's count to see if that gets us to 12 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Show me, does that work? Yes, I have 12 total squares and 4 columns. So now my next step is to write my repeated addition sentence. So I'm looking at each column and I see that there are 3 squares in each column. So I'm going to add 3 every time in my repeated addition sentence. So I have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 and 12 total squares. Guys, why do you think that I wrote 3 every time? Yes, I wrote 3 every time because that's how many squares are in every group or column. Why do you think that I wrote 3 4 different times? Yes, I wrote 3 4 times because there are 4 columns. And so I'm going to turn off my screen share because there's one important thing that I want you to remember before we get into the next problem. When you are drawing your rectangular array, you think about how many columns or rows you want, and you draw 1 less line. So you think about how many you want, and you draw 1 less line. You draw. Awesome. For example, the last problem asked us to create an array with 4 columns. So I know I want 4 columns, but that means in my rectangle, I would need to draw 3 lines. So let me show you. In my rectangle, I'm just going to draw 3 lines, not 4. And when I draw 3 lines, it gives me 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I wanted to create 2 rows, I would think about 1 less line. So I only need 1 line to create my 2 rows. Now I have 2 columns and I only drew 1 line. So you will need to think about how many columns or how many rows and draw 1 less line to create that many. So now, friends, we're going to jump back in our packet, go to page 86 and find the try one more packet problem. I want you to work on this problem, fill out the Google form, and then you can click next and watch the next video and we'll talk about the problem together. So go ahead and work on the try one more problem now.